Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! I'm going to the house! I'm going to the house!
Dang it.
This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time.
What's up, CJ? What's up, Triple Nine Stars?
What time is it?
Willie Gibson, Monique Moses.
Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready? I'm going to the house. I'm going to the
What's up, Timmy Moonwalker?
We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, how like we the Miami Heat of football. Yeah. The bottom line is you got to buckle up your chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Don't disrespect the game like that. There's too much crying from that. He's a man. They can be a hit just like us. He's a man. You already make the big money. He's a man. I'm proud when you step on the field, man. That's who I did. When I step on the field, I send one message. And this is what it feels like. Oh, my bad. You better go work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We ready? I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
Nah, this game is just getting started right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, and I got the man who just went hard in the paint for the last 2 hours or last hour. Uh-oh, he lost. He went away. Your camera don't want to
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Now, listen, bro, trust me. We got a guy by the name of John Foster that's going to be on with us tomorrow. Bro, you ain't even close to having any problems with his camera, his cricket phone, he'll be ordering lunch right in the middle of the show. I mean, it's so bad. It's now a hilarious part of the show.
Yeah, because now I'm, doing this one-man studio and having to switch over to, do the pod, and then it's just I'm still getting used to the tempo.
Bruh, trust me. Welcome to my world, man. I am the engineer. I am the producer. I am the talent. And look, let some fall back there in the other office. I got to go run and see about that too.
Yes, I'm a one-man band too, so we know it's all on you. If it don't get done, it don't get done.
Yeah, man. But that's all right though. But we I can't say it like I want to say it, but this our stuff. This our stuff.
That's right.
Big shout out to Sydney Brown and all the wonderful ladies of the Texas Phoenix Fire. They are the 2020 champions of the XFFL. That's the Extreme Female Football League. Had them all on the show yesterday. Met some amazing ladies, man. So excited for them and proud of them. Got a shout out to Satia Deck. Not only is she the highest paid woman professional football player, but she is the first woman to own a shoe company and got a chance to see the shoes yesterday. I reposted that. She's been written up in Newsweek. She's been written up in another publication. I want to say it's Essence. I might be wrong, but she's been written up there and one more. So let me tell you, man, and it's a big deal, bro. It's a big deal. So, David.
Yes.
Tell us how hard in the paint you went this morning.
Today, I sat down with Ross Jackson, who is the editor of Canal Street Chronicles, and we went real deep on the New Orleans Saints, particularly some position battles on the defensive line and at the linebacker spot. We talked about Emmanuel Sanders and the impact that he can have on the offense. And we got into a lot of the issues, too, about training camp and the NFL being able to really control the narrative this year. In having only about 10 reporters available for each team, like we talked about the limited number of spots. There's going to be a spot for an NFL reporter. There's going to be a spot, for the NFL Network. There's going to be an ESPN embed. There's going to be a Fox embed. There's going to be the local newspaper coverage. There'll be the athletic, sport, those type of sites. Where the local people going to be? So you have the NFL in a great position to only work with people who are friendly to their message, who need their access to the point of that they will capitulate in order to get it. And so without those other local media sources, those people, the independents who are growing, and this isn't, the blogs and us and radio hosts, it's not a game anymore. It's not a bunch of guys just sitting around typing. This is work. And without those voices, I think that there's going to be a loss. And then we both kind of also went in on the whole playing of the Negro National Anthem, because it's only after week 1. People have to remember that it's not all 17 games. It's week 1, and then it's gone. And we were just saying again, just how it doesn't address anything. It's the NFL has not still put any weight behind anything. And as we talked about, owners have been completely silent. Nobody's saying a word. This is, again, why would you trust the NFL in this circumstance at all?
Yeah, no, let me get my words together. You know how when something happens and we see a video clip and there's always a handful of people say, I need more information. I need more information from the NFL. I need much more information from the NFL. I need to see how fully committed they are to Black Lives Matter and to issues concerning Black people in the areas of racism, social injustice, economic injustice, police brutality, and all of that. So, you singing a song ain't going to get me there.
No. And again, the words of that song are going to be lost on so many people because it is not a song about destination. It is a song about travel, about trying to get somewhere. And the folks, again, the mute button, the bathroom, the refrigerator will all be getting used during that time by the people who don't want to hear. And you don't need to preach to the choir who's already on board.
That's right. Yeah. What's interesting, I believe that if you allow 50,000 fans in these stadiums on week 1, there'll be at least 40,000 of them that will be kneeling during the Negro National Anthem.
I wouldn't be kneeling in the stands. I know it's stadium.
I know you wouldn't be. But this is the perfect opportunity for the NFL to give somebody who is upset about Colin Kaepernick, Kenny Stills, Malcolm Jenkins, and those guys kneeling during the national anthem. Oh, baby, they will sit down on the ground and pass gas during the Negro National Anthem if they get an opportunity.
They'd walk out and go stand on the concourse. They'll stand on the concourse or whatever to be absent. Because even the kneeling, it wouldn't, you'd be like, what are you doing? Me as an observer, I'm like, that's just stupid. But if they left, which is what I think would be more likely, is that they would just walk out or turn their back or whatever, something like that. Because kneeling we'd all be like, first of all, there ain't enough room between them, between seats the way they got you jammed in. It's tighter than a Southwest flight or a JetBlue, so they ain't kneeling, but I could see some backs turned or some walk-offs. That's what I mean. I think there would be a lot of people all in that beer line right at that moment.
Yeah, I was going to try to be polite and say, well, I didn't say that, a whole lot of folks in that crowd are going to be smart. But, if he's going to kneel on ours, we're going to kneel on his. So, it's going to be
the same impact. Yeah, it ain't the same impact. It don't mean the same. Because we will be like, okay, whatever. Yeah. It ain't. We're nonplussed about things like that. Okay.
It's like the guy or the girl that goes out and burns the jersey of a player that they bought. It's not like he bought it and gave it to you and you saying, here's what I think of your jersey. You paid that money.
Nike got that check.
And now you burn your stuff?
Give it away. Give it to the Salvation Army or something. But what did you prove? When people burn jerseys, I'm like, yeah, what did you prove? Do you think the players now are gonna be like, well, I should really go back to that team that I left because they burned my jersey. They don't like me. No, it doesn't work that way. These messages, and that's part of it too. That's performative, and it means nothing. And that's what the NFL is doing. Performative stuff that means nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. David Grubb, host of Heart in the Paint, joining us for Winning Wednesday. We're supposed to have Kelsey Nicole Nelson. That was going to be a surprise. Joining us today. We were going to be three the hard way, but she hit me up. She's got a big project that she's working on. So let's keep Kelsey in our thoughts and prayers. Make sure that all that she's got going on is going well. And she did confirm she's going to be here next week. So we'll have it three the hard way next week. But so we had a little breaking news before we came on. Kenny Stills, wide receiver for the Texans, was arrested as a result of a protest with about 87 other folks in Kentucky. They were protesting and marching because still no arrests in the murder of Breonna Taylor. Mm-hmm. And it was charged with a felony before he was released. Your thoughts overall, and then I'm going to put it on you before I bring it back to me. I'm here in Houston, know a little bit about Bill O'Brien. What do you think that this is going to do with a head coach and general manager that are one and the same person?
They better not touch him on this. They better not touch him on this. This is one of those ones that you talk to Kenny, but the NFL you cannot punish him for this. Unless it shows that he did something really wrong, like he started a fight or something. Other than that, you better leave this alone if you're the NFL. If you're Bill O'Brien and you said what you said in that press conference, and you're going to come out and then you're going to punish Kenny Stills for this today? Again, it's about the actions. It's about what are you saying about what you really value. Because remember, the NBA could have stepped in on J.R. Smith. Remember, J.R. lit up a dude who started messing up his car while he was out protesting. And J.R. lit him up, gave him the two-piece. Did the NBA do anything to J.R.? No, because in that situation, look, you knew it didn't matter what the optics were of a player hitting somebody. It was the reasoning, and you had to take that into account. And that's what you have to take into account here. How did this situation occur, and what was he doing? And if he's out there,
let me give you the charges. Stills was charged with intimidating a participant in the legal process, a felony, as well as a misdemeanor disorderly conduct and criminal trespass. Stills was charged along with 86 other protesters, all who got charged with the same thing.
A DA is going to throw all that out. It's going to get knocked down to misdemeanor charges. At the very least, they get a ticket. So, I mean, those are those fake charges. It's like when you see somebody get arrested for resisting arrest. How do you get arrested for resisting arrest? There had to be an initial charge, right? So, again, these things.
David, wait a minute. You done made my mind go, I got arrested for resisting arrest.
And you see it. Go see the films. There's all these times where they're like, why are you putting me in cuffs? Because you're resisting arrest. For what? For what? Yeah. And that's what this is.
Hold that thought. I gotta take a break, but man, you just hit my nerd button. I got arrested for resisting arrest. All right, we'll be right back with David Grubb right here on Winning Wednesday on the lunch break.
Attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with
Bro, it never made sense
generic versions
before you just said that.
To help treat stomach issues.
And they will do it every time, too. Use a risk
of the levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical.
Because you're trying to take me down for no reason.
And other generic forms of this popular drug.
That's crazy, man.
They've
in the car, Negro. In the car.
Removed from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win.
Denise, what's
so
going on, my love?
Please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
Tony
If
Darby,
you're trying
what's
to
up,
quit
homie?
drinking or doing too
Antoinette.
many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized
quitter.
it helped fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried
just a quitter, man.
drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll
This guy is
immerse you
commercial. I'm just messing with him.
program to replace your
Oh,
old
He drank and
habits
partied
with
too much. He quitter. He gave up.
And if
He
you
wasn't
have
committed to it.
private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now
He
before
wasn't invested. He wasn't invested. Quitter.
Learn more.
I partied too much.
961-2730.
Big James is frowning down from above.
2730. That's 800-961-2730.
We all know Election Day is just around the corner. We want change.
Wait,
we need change.
Election Day was yesterday. Hold on, let me get that off. Bang.
Bravo, getting focused? Getting your to-do list done.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
I'm Ben Tankard, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. David Grubb got me laughing off air, man, about resisting arrest and getting arrested for resisting arrest, which is what, Kenny Stills didn't get arrested for resisting arrest, but they say that he and the other protesters stood on the lawn of the governor and they were chanting. And at the governor's request, they were trespassed from the property, says one of the police spokesmen. So there you go. They all were given the opportunity to leave before being arrested. And they didn't leave fast enough, and they got put in lockdown.
Are we forgetting what protest is? Like, protest supposed to be inconvenient to the people who are getting protested. The governor's mansion is owned by the people. So unless they running up on the house, the governor's mansion is the property of the people. So I don't understand, you know what I mean? Like, so when they do these things like they did in Washington, D.C., where they gassed folks to get them out in front of the White House. They always tell you that's the people's house.
Yep.
Until the person inside of it all of a sudden got beat
with
you.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. If they're out there and they're not doing anything other than being there, if you're the governor, that's part of the job. You take the heat. And the heat means that sometimes people are going to be outside your door protesting. That's the job. You can't just say, I'm going to ignore what's going on outside and you got to go home. No, it's your job as the governor to either respond to those people and deal with them as people or just suck it up.
Yeah, David, here's what I don't get. So they arrested Kenny Stills and 86 other people. Did they arrest anybody when they stormed the state capitol in Michigan with AR-15s and they were yelling in the face of the police? They weren't trespassing then?
You would think. And you would think that they were also presenting, like say, what was one of those things, endangering the administration of justice or something?
Yeah, they were intimidating a participant in the legal process.
So what do you think was happening in those legislatures? Because it wasn't just Michigan. What was happening in those legislatures where people are walking in with like you said, armed and angry, with vests on, with extra ammunition on standby? What do you think they're trying to do? Are they not trying to intimidate? Are they not trying to scare people? So you tell me, and those people get rewarded. Those people get lauded as people fighting for their freedoms.
Patriots.
And this is people talking about justice for a dead woman killed in their own house, and America, which is supposed to be standing for sovereignty of the home. That's something you hear them talk about all the time, the sovereignty of my home. And this woman was killed in her home for no reason, no justifiable reason, no unjustifiable reason. And you telling me that the people protesting that are interfering with, no, who's ever interfering are the DA who refuses to arrest and indict these people, the governor who refuses to get on this, the state attorney general. Those are the people standing in the way.
Willie Gibson, my good brother up in Columbus, said it was the home of the state's attorney general, not the home of the governor, which doesn't change it. I mean, if he said get off my yard, then yeah, let me back up. But the street right here is public property. They take money out of my taxes for me to be on this street. And like you said, I guess the fine line was, he is involved in an open investigation of these police officers, none of which who have been arrested, by the way. You arrested 87 people faster than you arrested the people that actually shot a woman in her home 8 times and killed her, and it was the wrong home.
That's the thing, is justice never moves swiftly for us. It never moves swiftly for us. It moves swiftly for anybody. And it's just like the false argument that people make all the time about, well, what about when cops get killed? I ain't never seen slow justice when a cop gets shot. Never. Have you ever seen slow justice? Because either that person don't make it to the precinct or they're convicted.
Listen,
it's only two options.
They find people that shoot police officers faster than they found bin Laden. I mean, they find them like, I don't know how they find them, but they find them, they get them, and then they do what they do. But, this whole Breonna Taylor thing, and let's throw the Brother McClain in there as well. It blows my mind. It just blows my mind. I just don't understand how it's never the same.
Because like you said, for the Elijah McClain thing, somebody can call the police and say there's somebody walking with a hood on, and that's enough to bring multiple police officers to the scene because somebody's walking down the street with a hood on. And we saw this before with Trayvon Martin. We've seen this before. And people, and in Dallas, Mark Cuban, who said, I'm more likely to cross the street when I see a kid in the hoodie. Like, what does that mean? You sell hoodies in your team's store. A hoodie is probably the most common accessory for a teenager that you could possibly find in all over this country. Everybody got one. So why is it intimidating when a black person has one on at night in anywhere? You put a hoodie on at night, most people, if it's cold or whatever, you got one, you put it on, got headphones on, whatever. It's all false. Whatever argument they're making is false. It's just something to prop up, something that you can't defend.
I was coming out of a store in my neighborhood the other night, and a guy and his girlfriend were coming in. He opened the door. Obviously, I'm going to step back and let her come in. And then he said, come on out. I'll hold the door for you. I said, no, social distancing. He said, no, I got it. He had a full ski mask on. All I could see was his eyes. And I asked him, I said, do you ever have any problems wearing that? He said, it's funny you asked me. He said, because all my homies say the same thing. If they wore it, they would be in trouble. I wear it all the time, and people don't even bat an eye. Nobody's ever called the police. Nobody's ever, felt intimidated or scared. But let me put that same ski mask on and walk to my car. From that door to my car, there would be at least 2 phone calls. Suspicious.
Let you walk out your front door to your car in the ski mask and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So, so like Skip Gates. So, I mean, we have enough examples of people going in and out of their own homes, getting arrested or beaten and stuff, and obviously killed too in our own homes. So that part alone. And you saw, again, Trump yesterday throwing out all these statistics saying more white people get killed by cops. And then all the academicians who come back with the statistics that show that he's BSing again. So it's like the numbers, they just refuse to acknowledge fact because it's uncomfortable.
We got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, joining us here on the lunch break, Winning Wednesday. Want to dig into that a little bit because it's, let's tie this all together. We were talking about this in relationship to the NFL, and they're going to play the Negro National Anthem after or before each game on week number 1, not week number 2, not week number 17, but week number 1. And, with President Trump coming out as vehemently as he did yesterday, like not even addressing the question openly, but literally saying, when asked, why are black people still being killed at the hands of police officers, his exact answer was, so are white people. So are white people. In
but
fact,
that makes it better. Like that somehow is part of the argument. Like that's better.
So here's my question. Does that change in your mind what you think the NFL owners might do? Because they have always been lock and step with Trump.
What did we say on Monday? That's why they're not talking. Just because they are distancing themselves publicly from him, let's find out when the donor lists come out. And you can check who gave money to his campaign. Let's see how many owners are on that list. Let's see how many of them did it through other companies that they're associated with, their parent companies rather than through their teams. Let's see. Because that's the only right now logical thing is because it's not like they're saying anything against him. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the NFL is saying we can't support the president in this. This is incorrect. He's giving out false information. You don't see any of that. So you don't see any owners standing up and saying, I'm not voting for him this fall. Have you had one owner say that? So until you see some of that, my belief is that this is just a public distancing, and in private, business as usual.
Yeah. David, let me ask you this, and I'll open it up to our listeners as well. 281-453-1000. 281-453-1000. Again, I appreciate all the ladies that are tuned in from the Texas Phoenix Fire. They are the 2020 champions of the XFFL, and appreciate them tuning in. What can the NFL, the NBA, and let's just throw Major League Baseball in there because they ain't going to do nothing. But what could any of these professional leagues do, in your opinion, to really make a meaningful difference where police brutality, racism, social and economic injustices against Black people? What could they do, in your opinion?
First of all, each league needs to have its own plan. You know how NBC put out its inclusion plan that they want for their staffing and how they want to move forward. Each league should have its own plan, first and foremost, that they need to put out to the public.
Okay.
And put it up for scrutiny that way. And then on behalf of those players that you say you're working for and with, then you need to put their list of issues out and on the forefront. This is what the players of the NFL demand. This is what the players of the NBA, let those, and the league office needs to put behind us. We stand with our players when they ask for these things. If you're not going to do those two things, if you're not going to commit to going for police reform and saying Roger Goodell saying, I'll go to Washington and I want every owner to go to their state legislatures and we're going to talk about this issue because we can get that platform. If they're not doing those things, the money doesn't matter because the money will run out and it will be, to get used, but the problem won't be solved. And that's right now, all it is all every league has right now is we got some money and some commercials. That ain't it.
It's funny you say that because I rarely see anything more than that. There's always a pledge for money, and then there's a commercial or two, and that's above and beyond these theatrics. The song and the painting of Black Lives Matter and the patches or names on the shirts and all that. Those are theatrics. Those are cosmetic. But other than commercials. Other than, we're going to pledge $250 million over 10 years.
Which is less than $1 million per team per year.
What else can they do?
Like you said, it's action. They have power and pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Washington doesn't change its name.
Right.
Like, they didn't figure out that it was the right thing to do because it's been the wrong thing for 100 years. 87 years they had their name. They've known it's been wrong for 87 years because it's been protested for pretty much the entirety of those 87 years.
Every year.
So for them now to act like, oh, well, we're doing this, and even in their press release, not an apology to Native peoples, not an acknowledgement of the effort of Native peoples over the years to try to get that done, just an acknowledgement of their sponsors. an acknowledgement of the fact that they, are responsive to their community now, but there's nothing in there to acknowledge that they were wrong. So without that, and that's what America wants to do in all these situations. Here's a capitulation, but consistent no admittance of wrongdoing. How many times do we see it in court? I'll settle with my cash, but I'm not going to admit that I was wrong. And that's what this is going on for Washington. That's what's going on for the NFL, the MLB, all of them. They will give you the cash, but not one of them will say we're part of the problem. And here's what we're going to do to fix it.
Carmel Spice, also known as Sister Williams. Hey, Brother Williams. She says, if players refuse to play, then tickets are not sold, and they will get the owner's attention when it hits the pockets. But it may also affect the pockets of the players, and this is something they are not willing to do and have it affect their paychecks. She brings up a good point, man. She brings up...
The NFL is the least likely for players to be able to do that. Because we know the contracts are not guaranteed. You are always considered replaceable anyway in the NFL. Yeah. Everybody except for quarterbacks, pretty much, they think of as replaceable. So the NFL, it's really hard to get that done. But that's why we've talked about somebody has to step in at some point, because if the system you're in isn't working, create your own system. And I think the NBA players are probably getting closer in mindset that there's a group of players, and I think it's going to be those guys 25 and under who start thinking about this more and more often about, man, I want the money, because LeBron is showing you I can control my brand. I can produce. I can have my own shows. I can go out there and make movies, and I can do all this, and nobody owns me. Nobody, at least in the public sense. You don't own LeBron. LeBron Incorporated is his company. And these other players can see that that's where the world is going. So much more individualization of business. So if you come together as a collective and can still work as partners, like you said, have business people at the table, have players at the table, have all those folks, those interests represented, rather than it being owner-employee dynamic. Because this is not like that. Sports is the only place where if the owner just can't go out and have an audition day. You can't have applications to be in the NBA. You know what I mean? So hiring ain't that easy. So you have a potential in sports, and the infrastructure is there for there to be an opportunity. But one way or another, you have to take the hit if you want to change the system. The NFL just makes it so hard, because even when players go on strike, we saw it, in '87 when there was the last player strike. Took 4 weeks for them to break because they brought in the scab players. Took 4 weeks and it was over. So I mean, it does. The NFL is easy to break. Baseball, hard to break. Basketball, hard to break. NFL, easy to break.
Yeah. I guess, at the end of the day, if these leagues are going to make those statements, there ought to be a commitment to backing those statements up more than just throwing money at it and coming out with slogans. Racism is not going to go away with slogans, statements. Madonna's son danced away racism about a month ago, and doggone, I'll be doggone if it didn't sneak back in when he went to sleep. So,
I thought it was over when Kylie Jenner handed out a Pepsi to a cop.
Yeah, that was a couple of back when they were
Baton Rouge, and when Alton Sterling happened. Yeah. So I thought Kylie had solved it with a Pepsi, but apparently Pepsi doesn't solve racism either.
But, there's something in the fact that Pepsi, FedEx, all those big companies got in the ear of Dan Snyder and said, look, bro, it's time. It's time right now. I mean, what's interesting is FedEx said, we're going to take our name off the stadium. Normally, you've got 58 companies lined up to put their names on it again.
Not anymore. Not anymore. The market is so much different for team naming rights now. How many teams have gone through a bunch of different... Look at Houston. Look at Houston. How many different names has the baseball stadium had? I mean, just the money's not there for companies, and it's not worth it really for them anymore for the most part. The deals now are so much smaller to name for the naming rights because it's just not worth it. It's not the kind of advertisement that pays off for the most part, especially for a football team. Because how many times a year is it going to get heard? What's the point in that? But if you got a baseball team, at least you got 80 games in that building where people are going to talk about you. But 8, that investment, I could spend more on commercial advertisement than I could ever get out of by naming a stadium for the most part. Again, it's a trophy thing. It's a trophy thing for a company to show that they're big.
Right. Yeah. David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writes for CrescentCitySports.com. We're just talking life in sports because life is in sports. Let me lighten it up just a little bit. This knucklehead, I'm just gonna call him a knucklehead. Y'all might think he's a good businessman. Y'all might think he's an entrepreneur. He's crafty. Knucklehead that trademarked all of the majority of the potential names.
Genius.
For the NFL team in Washington. He is a realtor. I'm not gonna say his name on my show. He ain't getting no run on my show. He's a realtor in Alexandria, Virginia, and he locked up names like the Red Tails, the Red Wolves. He also locked up the Monuments, Freedom Fighters, and more. I'm mad that he locked up Red Tails. Like, you ain't got no say in that whatsoever. Like, you ought to have to give that one back. David, what say you?
I say he's a genius. Because he gets to hold Dan Snyder hostage. If there's one on Dan Snyder's list, he's got to buy those names from him. And that's that is the best thing. We always talk about sympathy for billionaires, right? No sympathy for this billionaire. Dan Snyder made this bid because he refused to change that name. And what is business about? Opportunity. And this guy got the opportunity. He took it. Now, I don't like it when people take people's personal names. Now, we've seen that. You see high school and college players and people buy up their names so that they can have their domain. I don't think you should be able to buy a human being's name.
Gotcha.
But these were all speculative, right? Because Dan Snyder said he was never changing the name. So you get in. It's like making a gamble. He took a gamble, and he's going to see if it pays off. And if it does.
So what's interesting is some of the analysts are saying that he did that so he could buy them up so that he would get paid for Dan Snyder and the team to get one of them. But an interesting comment came up earlier today is that maybe he bought them up so that he can control the narrative on what name is picked, because there are a couple of names out there that he did not buy up.
Well, I mean, you can't get everything.
Right.
You only have so much imagination. You do what you can. You get what you can. Somebody's probably bought up some of the other ones too. I would imagine there's somebody else who may not have as many as him, but I would imagine there are other people who have them. And I think, well, why wouldn't you want to have some control too if you're a big fan and you can exert it? I don't think he's going to have ultimate say in this. But if Snyder finds one that he wants on that list, you've got enough money to ask him. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're in position to ask him for what you want. And I'd take that opportunity if I had it. I mean, don't you? We all want to have that one flex moment. And this dude is having his flex moment. Now, he might lose. He might walk away with nothing because they pick another team name. But he took his shot. And I'm not mad at him for taking his shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky.
You know what? For some reason, I'm not okay with it. For some reason, and I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. But for some reason, he is the dude when he comes to our conference and our big meeting. I'm getting over in his ear hole. Like, yo, man, that wasn't a player move, bro. That was weak. That was weak. You weak. Your mama weak.
Why are you bringing his mama into it? You're trying to start fights and stuff.
You can't. Yeah, I'm saying, I want him to know just how bad I am about it. Like, your mama weak, your dog weak. Man, I saw your cat the other day, and your cat was weak. Yeah.
Well, I hope you're ready to back all that up, because
Oh yeah, I mean, if he throw, I'm going. We going. I got all these ladies from the Texas Phoenix Fire backing me up. Oh, it's going down. If it's going down, Willie D said, "Let's get it over with."
Willie D is boxing too. I ain't messing with Willie D.
Hey, man, listen, we got to take another break. If you want to get in, we want to hear from you. 281-453-1000. I got a bunch of text messages. I might read a couple of those. 281-453-1000. Get in with me and David Grubb. What do you think? Do you think the guy up in Washington is being just a good businessman, or is he trying to be something else? 281-453. Yeah, see, Caramel Spice said she got my back, so you already know.
She said she got your back, right? But look, business is business, man. Business, never personal. It's never personal.
Bruh, I got to lean in this here. Your mama, your dog, your cat. Let me take this break. We'll be right back on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK.
Don't give up.
Yeah. We're peaceful people.
It's empowering.
Not no more, bro. You Martin, I'm Malcolm.
Selling author and motivational speaker.
You know I'm not Martin in a lot of ways, but
every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK. 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wrong. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident, or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $3,000, considering the average more than $10,000.
My ratio is not good right now.
There are no medical exams. Your rates won't
get that man his money. Let that man get paid.
So as long as you make your premium
payments. You out there trying to keep people from getting money.
I got props for the Willie D quote, but other than that,
man. A pauper's grave in a potter's field.
Start taking money from folks, man. Nobody want to hear that.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently? And now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you need today.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
Hey, this is Tori and Terry, and we're with a new show on the legendary KYOK called Marriage Talk with Tori and Terry.
Yes, that's Saturdays at 1 p.m.
What?
Marriage Talk with us. You can call in and talk to us about your marriage questions, engagement, questions. We're here to assist you. Saturdays at 1 p.m.
11:40 a.m. and 92.3 FM.
Beautiful people, this is Major. This is why I love you on the lunch break.
Hey, man, listen, you know what? Don't let the smooth taste fool you with some of these lunch breakers, man. They go hard in the paint. David Grubb joining us here on Winning Wednesday. I'm AJ Jones, and you know, I'm not ratioing too well right now on my text messages. I got a bunch of people saying to let that man make his money and quit hating. I ain't hating on him making his money. I just hate that he's the one making the money. How about that? I think it's
still hate.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I thought I slid that by them where they didn't catch it. Listen, if he give Red Tails back, I might let him slide.
They ain't picking Red Tails. First of all, you know this.
But he needs to let it go. He don't have the right to own the name Red Tails.
All he got to say is it's a fox. That's all he got to say. Fox got red tails.
No, he got to get that one back.
Squirrels got red tails. He's doing a lot of things. He's doing a lot of things.
David.
The man is trying to make his money.
Not off Red Tails. I ain't gonna let him do it. He got to get that one back, and I'll let him walk in front of my house. He can pass through my block.
Ain't nobody picking Red Tails. You know Dan Snyder ain't picking no Red Tails. It ain't even gonna happen. You might as well you can make some merch and do it yourself. They ain't gonna be. You think they're gonna name a team after some black people?
All the more reason why he shouldn't have a name. Leave that name alone. He need to get off that one.
It's probably public domain anyway. That name. It's public domain. But
I don't like it. Willie Gibson said he's a businessman. Mad props to him. Willie, and I said to Willie, hard eyeball roll. Like, man, I ain't giving him no love.
You just mad because you didn't think of it first.
I don't believe you, David. You just hurt my feelings. Y'all. Thank y'all for coming. Donnie McClurkin up next with the Donnie McClurkin. David done hurt my feelings. I'm taking my headset home. I don't even want to do the show no more. What?
You know that's what the truth is.
That ain't it.
If you had thought of it, if you had bought those names yourself 5 years ago and said maybe it'll happen, and then today, this was the week that he announced it, and you had all those names sitting there, you'd be like, I am now a king. I'm a king amongst men.
I got no comment. I plead the Fifth Amendment. I know my amendment rights. I'm pleading the Fifth. I ain't saying nothing. So there. Give Red Tails back and we might be all right. Imagine. So the Texas Phoenix Fire have won the XFFL champions. What if somebody goes out and trademarks TPF champs? That ain't right. Get them ladies their name.
But they could use a number of URLs. See, their name is already their name. So they could figure out a new URL. But the Redskins don't have a name. The Washington football team has no name. See, that's the difference. You put in two circumstances that don't equate. So let's try again. Your flow of logic has no place here.
I was trying to throw myself on the mercy of the court. I was trying to get some sympathy somewhere.
No, appeal denied.
Kimberly Armstrong talked about bringing some steel from Dallas and then said, don't let me find you hiding in the bushes with your ski mask on. El Michelle said, AJ, don't start the closing credits. Y'all making it hard for a brother. Like I said, if he give Red Tails back, it might be all right. I might take his mama and his dog off the list.
Man, if we gonna do that with white folks and ask them to start giving stuff back for that's way down on my list of things I'm asking for. we got a few more things I'm gonna get to first. Before I'm asking for Red Tails, that website back or that copyright. We got a few things that I would like back first.
That's funny, man.
How about rock and roll? Can we get rock and roll back? Can we do
That's hilarious.
Can we get peanut butter back? Can we get that back from Jiff and Skippy? Can we get peanut butter back? Things like that. That's above me on the list before we get to this dude.
And can we get them to take a few people? They got to take Candace Owens.
Yeah.
They got to take.
Motown back. Motown got sold to big white companies. So let's get Motown back.
Do you want BET back? You want BET back?
Yeah, you can take it back. Depends on who owns it, as long as it's not Bob Johnson again.
Why you mad at Bob? See, you love the dude up in Alexandria, but you mad at Bob. What Bob do?
What didn't Bob do? Bob decided that the model for him. Remember, Bob was the one who killed that BET news department. Bob was the one who killed all the Sunday programming for the news. He killed all the talk shows, killed them all. And said he would make money, show music videos. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But that's not how he sold that channel to us. And BET meant something different. From the early 80s into the about early 90s, BT was different. It was something that I could watch as a kid in the 80s with my dad and watch the music together, watch Video Soul, Video Vibrations, all those, and still get Rap City and all those things. I got everything I wanted. And then there were news programs with people that otherwise I never would have seen before. And now TV One is doing that job in a lot of ways. And BT is what it is. But I think Bob Johnson, he decided that it became about making money. And that's fine. Everybody's allowed to do that. But at the time, it was the only thing we had. And he kind of abandoned it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, he was a businessman. He was trying to make money. He's trying to make money.
And I remember he was also the one who said Trump wasn't that bad. Now he's all of a sudden back on the Trump is not great. But when Trump got elected, he was like, give him a shot. He's cool.
That part. Let's jump sports real quick. WNBA. Your girl Elena Delle Donne got some real issues, man. I mean, real issues. She said in an open letter, I take 64 pills a day. 64 pills. That's 25 before breakfast, another 20 after breakfast, another 10 before dinner, and another 9 before bed. I take 64 pills a day, and I feel like it's slowly killing me. Or if it's not killing me directly, then at least know one thing for sure, it's really bad for me. Long term, taking that much medicine on the regular of a regimen is just straight up bad for you. It's literally an elaborate trick that you play on yourself, a lie that you tell your body so that it keeps thinking everything is fine. It's never ending. It's exhausting, miserable cycle, but I do it anyway. She said all that to say she wants to sit out of the 2020 season, but she wants her money.
Because she has Lyme disease. She has Lyme disease.
She has Lyme disease. And the WNBA said, nope, you don't play, you don't get paid.
I mean, she's missed entire seasons before. She did it. I mean, when she was at Delaware in college, she couldn't play. She missed time in the WNBA because of this. And as somebody, look, I don't take 64 pills a day, but it is really annoying when you have to take pills, a number of pills every day. It is annoying. And like any other pill that somebody adds to it, like my wife gives me vitamins, and I'm like, can I take these at a different time than I have to take my other pills? Because it's just, I'm putting too many pills in right now. And I understand that life. But when your own doctor, her doctor says it's not safe for her to be there. And she brought that information to the WNBA. For them to say it, that no, we're rejecting this, in light of everything that they've done already, the mistakes that they've made in housing, in travel, and what you're taking the MVP of the league and you're telling her to put her life in danger, even if it's on her own mental perception, even if that's what you think it is, that the perception of danger is there. What use is she to you if she feels unsafe? You think she's going to actually step on the court? You think she's going to go down there and play? Because if I'm her, the minute I get there, I'm stepping out of the quarantine bubble, and you're going to have to put me by myself or send me home. Because there's no way you should be putting somebody, forcing them, again, for entertainment, to put their mental and physical health on the line. It's just not right. And again, who's speaking up for her first? Who's speaking up for her first? Black women.
Yeah.
They were the first ones to jump on it. Black women, first ones to jump on it.
I mean, it's nothing but the truth. Let's do this. I got to get Sybil Wilkes on to give her COVID-19 update. But I want to kind of play it from both sides. You stay on that side. I'm going to go to the other side of it. And I want to talk about this because it's the same thing with what the NFL and the Players Association are talking about. Obviously, it's what they were talking about with Major League Baseball. Do you get paid if you don't play under these new conditions, whether it be for medical reasons or you've got a family member who you don't want to bring something home to? We'll talk about that right after this. Let's hear a COVID-19 update with Sybil Wilkes.
It's
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know today about the coronavirus. School districts across the country are being forced to reconsider their reopening plans as coronavirus infection rates continue to spike and new hotspots emerge. California's two largest school districts announced the schools will not open for any in-classroom instruction. Cities like New York and Detroit will offer both in-classroom and online instruction this fall. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley issued a letter to the Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar requesting a report detailing the Trump administration's response to racial health disparities exacerbated by the COVID-19 outbreak. Warren and Pressley assert missing reports on racial disparities legally required under the Affordable Care Act have contributed to a poor federal coronavirus response. In the United States, 3.4 million cases have been reported and more than 138,000 people have died. Please visit SybilWilkes.com to subscribe to my free daily newsletter. Be informed, be empowered.
I'm Ben Tankett, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, got David Grubb over there in Louisiana. He's the host of Hard in the Paint, also writes for CrescentCitySports.com, and, of course, we appreciate y'all tuning in. So, David, before the Sybil Wilkes update, we're talking about Delle Donne in the WNBA, and she's got Lyme disease beyond her control. Under normal circumstances, she'd be on the court if healthy, but we have a global pandemic. In fact, in some contracts, this would fall under the acts of God. So it's not like she don't want to play. It's not like they don't want her to play. They're saying if you want to get paid, bring your 64 vitamins with you and come on and get in the bubble. What say you?
Again, you have two exigent circumstances. Number one, her health issue. Number two, the pandemic. And if we're the WNBA, though, what we're seeing is they're denying just about anything. They didn't support a player who said I couldn't do this for moral reasons. That players who said family reasons, and now you have sickness, and they've denied all of those things. So, to me, again, for the WNBA, is this decision based on who it is? Because it's Elena Delle Donne, arguably the best player in the league, if not the top two or three. Is that why that they're so concerned about losing money from not having her on the court? That they've denied this. But again, do you want to be the league when you're on now teetering ground where the WNBA is? And do you want to be a league that has this kind of reputation for the way you treat players? And then again, if she were to get sick while down there, and this is for her, look, the vast majority of people, and I think that's the thing that people don't understand, is that for the vast majority of people, Lyme disease is pretty easily taken care of. You get it. It's a bacteria. They treat it. But she had it longer than she knew. And so she's at the stage where it does affect her joints. It gives her fatigue. It causes her these other problems. And so she has to take this regimen to keep her able to perform. So, yeah, if her own doctors are saying one thing and the league is saying one thing, then somebody needs to arbitrate this in the middle.
Okay. How about this? If you got long-term disability, take it. If you got the family leave thing, take it. If you got PTO, take it.
Do you get that in the WNBA?
Well, that's where I'm going, though. We'll pay you for whatever you have. If you get 2 weeks vacation, we'll give you your 2 weeks. After that, your short-term disability's got to kick in at about 60%. And then your long-term disability after that at about, 40%.
Well, look at the NFL. Remember Ryan Clark, and he has sickle cell. And he could not play the Pittsburgh Steelers, whatever team he was playing for. He was never allowed to play games in Denver.
Wait a minute. The top of the hour is going to get us. Stay right there. Let me get this on. We'll be right back with David right after this.
1140 KYOK Conroe, Houston. The legend continues.
The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. Got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com, joining us here on Winning Wednesday. We're supposed to have Kelsey Nicole Nelson, the host of Listen In with KNN. She had a big project she's working on. She'll be back with us next week. We will be three the hard way. Before the top of the hour and the disclaimer, we were talking about Ryan Clark and his health issues in the NFL, comparing them to Elena Delle Donne with her health issues in the WNBA, wanting to get a waiver so that she does not have to play but still be paid.
I mean, you know, Ryan Clark was never allowed to play games in Denver because of his sickle cell anemia, and they never docked him a paycheck. You know, he was a valuable player. He's a starter, and he couldn't play in that one place because it would physically harm him, the altitude, and it would cause him great pain. So if the doctors understand this, that's why I say at some point I think this is going to end up in arbitration of some sort, and it's going to have to be expedited, obviously, because their season is starting very soon. But I just don't think that you want to go into it with your players and tell them that their own serious mental concerns. Do you want to force Elena Delle Donne, again, you're an MVP, to make the choice as to whether or not she's going to stay in the WNBA or not? Because she could leave. And there are women's leagues that would be glad to have her around the world that would probably pay her more than what she's getting paid in the WNBA. So do you want to push her to the point that she decides to leave?
Yeah. So let me go to the, again, other end of the spectrum. You were talking about Ryan Clark. The money in the NFL is totally different than the money in the WNBA. Maybe the WNBA can't afford that. Maybe they need you on the court. Maybe they need endorsements because, you know, the advertisers, because you're on the court. Maybe it affects their bottom line if you're not on the court. And, oh, yeah, by the way, we still have to pay you.
What's going to be the long-term outcome, though? You can't be short-sighted in this because this is survival mode this year. Everybody's in survival mode. Can we get to the point where we have coronavirus under control and we get to the, you know, to a area where you have some kind of vaccine? That's what we're all trying to get to. That's the line we're trying to cross. So
Betsy DeVos and Donald Trump say no. What? You got to get out there now. All right, right. You got to take your kids to school and get on your jobs. And Ivanka Trump say if you can't get a job, get you a different job.
Yeah, and eat your Goya beans. She out there posting with Goya beans, which is again illegal, but that's neither here nor there right now. But yeah, we can't be short-sighted. And the WNBA is, if it's going to survive past this season, if that's what their plan is, I would not be in the business of upsetting one of my best players. It's just, you don't want that. You know, I mean, if the NBA were in this position and LeBron James said, "I'm too sick to go," and the NBA said, "No, you're not," do you think that they would get into a public argument with him and to the point where he says, "Well, I'll retire. I'm done"? Because Jordan walked away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not unprecedented for Jim Brown. When the Cleveland Browns offered him money, he said, "I'm making more money doing the dirty dozen than I'll make playing for you all year." Barry
Sanders.
So if you've got options, and Elena Delle Donne has options, there will be women's basketball somewhere, and somebody will pay her. She is not. She's one of the players who's not in position to need the WNBA. She can go somewhere. So and she's also strikes me because remember she left UConn to go be home near her sister. People forget that she was supposed to be one of the she was the highest touted recruit in the country at the time, and she left UConn to go be home. So her values are not strictly based on basketball. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if push comes to shove, she says, "I'm gonna do best with me, and I don't care what you guys want."
Yeah. Let's translate this over to the NFL and the Players Association. The players want some type of financial guarantees. if they opt out, and they don't want the salary cap to go down in 2021 because of everything that's going on with COVID-19. Again, if you don't play, and I'll be that nice, benevolent owner. If you don't play and you don't already have guarantees in your contract, you don't get paid.
But see, some of this is not under their control, because a lot of these questions are about whether if the season gets started or not. And then you start it, and these guys with non-guaranteed deals don't get paid. That's not their fault. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what you're trying to do, is find some balance between, like you said, if you would call this an act of God, then you have to protect me too, because the owners are trying to get their protection. And again, the owners took the risk. This is what you take the risk on as an owner. You are supposed to pay your employees. And there are too many guys out there, whether they're practice squad, rookies who come into camp, who maybe don't get the opportunity to earn their contract because of whatever happens. You know, let's say you don't get the chance, you make the roster, and then the season shuts down. You haven't gotten check one. And you're going to go a whole year and say, because we had to shut it down, you're going to tell these guys who did come in, who did participate, sign their contracts. There has to be some way to mitigate that, because you can't have rookies sitting out an entire year and not get paid. What are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, so what, you have to have some, I don't think you're going to end up giving everybody all their money unless they have guaranteed money in their things. But you got to pay somebody something to just, because as a league, again, you're a $16 billion revenue league. You can't break some guys off something. You wanted to put 35% of their salaries in escrow, but you can't break them off something for survival. And that's what this is about. You're not talking about the guys who make $25 million per, but you're talking about the guys who make league minimum. Yeah, survival is important. For it's a public relations thing to take care of, and it's a personal thing to take care of, because it will affect owners and it will affect the league down the road.
Got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint and writer for CrescentCitySports.com, here on Winning Wednesday. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the pro leagues and how they're handling their labor issues, paying players that might have medical conditions or just might opt out because they've got children, family members, loved ones that they don't want to risk exposing to anything that they could acquire while participating in this sport that is a big business. So David, you were talking about pay them something. All right, so you get 5%. No, I'm the owner. You get 2% of your salary just for your essentials, your bills, your rent, your mortgage, your vehicle. I ain't paying for 12 vehicles. I'll give you 2% of your salary. And oh yeah, we still gonna need to put that rest in escrow.
Well, I'm not going for that. Because then if I'm a player and that's what they tell me, then I'm asking the owners. I'm saying, well, how much revenue are you taking in this year? Because if we're not playing and you're taking in that revenue, again, you took the risk. The obligation is on he who took the risk. You pay your people. And what these owners are doing is unconscionable, laying these staff off and doing all these things. What are they? Show me the numbers. Show me how much you're actually taking in this year. Because if you're taking in money, if you made a profit of any kind and you laid people off or withheld money from them, it's unconscionable. It's unconscionable.
Yeah, but David, we got to keep everything going. You know, we put the initial investment in. You know, you wouldn't be getting that big salary if it wasn't for us. And you wouldn't
be getting that money if it wasn't for them.
Hold on, David. I'll give you 8%. That's a bit. Listen, 8%. Take it, and like they told Scotty, don't come back to me trying to change it later. It's 8% now, and that's it.
Then, if that were the case, my thing would be if you're a player and you don't walk and you don't say you have no season, and every player then should be in solidarity. If they insulted you in that way, every player in the league should just walk out, because you have to stand with your people at that point and say, until they show us these numbers. And that's what it'd be about to me. If you made $1 in profit and you fired people and withheld payment, we got nothing to talk about.
Bruh, Aki Davis you need to take some of these pills that Della Don is taking, because He has lost his mind. This dude said, you better not have a side piece if you're an owner and not pay me. What is wrong with him? That's your friend. Don't raise your eyebrows like that, David Grubb.
I'm not.
Robert Kraft has extracurricular activities that he got to save some money for. He don't need y'all getting all in his money and cutting on his profit. He got trips to take. He has to do some drive-bys and check on some folks. And he's a Christian. He likes to lay hands on people or have them lay hands on him. Yeah.
Jinx, Minnesota.
What's the number? What's the number, David? What's the number that you think would be fair for players who don't play? What part of their salary should they get? Now, I did the corporate America. You've got paid time off, 2 weeks, whatever. You've got short-term disability where you normally get about 60% of your salary. And then you've got long-term disability where you normally get about 40% of your salary. What do you think would be a fair, right number for a player to get if they didn't play?
I think it depends on, why are we not playing? If it's the league's decision, then I think the league has to give the players more because that's not their choice. If the league shuts it down and you didn't do it, it's not like they would have shut it down in January and give you the opportunity to plan financially and do all these extra things. What you've been told is that there's going to be a season. So players act as if, and they have expectations of those salaries. Particularly, again, rookies, second year, third year guys who are not making the same kind of money that people think that everybody else is making. There are plenty of those fifth round guys who are in their first contract making, and $400,000 sounds like it's a great number, but when you're breaking it down and it gets down to like you say, all the spots, taxes, agents, house, all these things that you have to deal with. It ain't that much in relative to the profession. So it depends, A, if the league has to shut down the season, B, if you have a medical condition, that would be discrimination if they don't pay you your money if you have a medical condition and you can't play. And then, so you worry about that part. And then if a player opts out for personal reasons, that's a whole different thing. They say, I just don't want to do this.
Right.
That's completely different because then you have made a conscious decision and you say, the risk ain't worth it. Keep your money. There's no amount of money you can pay me to get in here. Because if you take the money, you are saying if your only reason is I choose not to do this. If you take the money, it's kind of, I think it becomes a little bit different morally for me. But if in any other circumstance, whether it's injury or legitimate fear of getting this, then I think that they should have the right. Because I don't think you can force people in non-essential roles to go out there and do it. It's not like cops going on strike. It's not like fire department being shut down. These are athletes, and they should not have to be put in danger in a situation where there's no science to prove that it's going to be okay. So, I mean, I think you have to give people in that situation the right to opt out. But once they do, I'd be more reluctant to pay them. But anybody else, health condition, or if the season is canceled by the league, I think you owe people most of their salaries in that case.
Yeah. You bring up a good point, though. Canceled by the league versus getting started, and a player then says either I'm not going to start with the league for personal reasons, whatever, or my health reasons. Della Don, again, we go back to her, don't allow it to happen. All right, got to take a break. We'll come back with more right after this on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. If you want to get in, 281-453-1000. That's 281-453-1000. Right here on the legendary KYOK.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
I'm Linda J. We all know Election Day is just around the corner. We want change. We need change. We can be the change. Exercise your right for change on Election Day. Don't talk about it. Let's be about it. So let's roll to the polls in record numbers and we can make that change. This message is
having trouble getting focused? Getting your to-do list done?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we back in here on The Lunch Break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, got my brother like no other, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, writer for CrescentCitySports.com. It's Winning Wednesday. Missing our sister, Kelsey, but she's doing big things, so we'll find out what she got going on and break it for you next Wednesday. Sydney Brown, I should have had you on today. Sydney Brown is one of the owners of the Texas Phoenix Fire, and she said it's different. She thinks it's different when it's an act of God. So, Sydney, I'm wondering would you still pay your players if y'all had to play through the coronavirus but couldn't play? So, y'all didn't get on the field. Y'all were scheduled to start. Rona rose up. And, all your ladies didn't have another opportunity. Your coaches didn't have another opportunity to do anything. You cutting checks still? Are you cutting full checks? Because if you are, I'm now the voice of the Texas Phoenix Fire, and I want me a check too, real quick. Like, run me one of those. David, Kenny Stills just released a statement on Twitter. He said, open quote, close quote, good trouble with my brothers and sisters organized by Act Until Freedom, arrested for peacefully protesting while Breonna Taylor's murderers are still out on the street. Hashtag arrest the cops. Hashtag justice for Breonna. Hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Like I said, what did he do wrong then? What did he do wrong? He didn't move fast enough. That's basically what we have in this situation. And if you're going to say that justice is Kenny Stills getting arrested, and like you said, these 86 other folks getting arrested with him, and yet the people who killed her, Breonna Taylor, are out walking free, at the very least have not been arrested in a rain, then I don't want to hear nothing about Kenny Stills other than thank you, Kenny, for getting out there and doing the work. And if Bill O'Brien says anything other than that to him, then Kenny needs to put him on blast.
Yeah, if Bill O'Brien says something other, if they fine him, heaven forbid they let him go, or they pull off one of those "I'm mad at you, I don't like you no more" trades, where we're gonna give up the number one wide receiver number two wide receiver, because Michael Thomas is number one, number two wide receiver in the whole league for whatever you got, then yeah, we're gonna be protesting down in front of the NRG Stadium. They don't have to worry about us being up in Louisville. We're gonna be down there on Kirby and Fannin. That would just kill everything that they quote unquote said that they believed in with this Black Lives Matter. They got a right to protest. Like you said, protests don't get dictated where, you can only do it on this time, you can only do it on your own time, and you got to do it over there when nobody can see you, and you can't affect anything that we're doing who don't want to see you. Ain't how it works, bro. That ain't a
protest. That ain't a protest. What should bother folks too is, why haven't the Texans issued a statement? Why haven't they all morning? They've had a chance to talk to Kenny. They know his phone number. So why have they not issued a statement and say we fully support our player, Kenny Stills, in exercising his right to protest? And the fact that he was arrested amongst other peaceful protesters shows just how far we have to go. I wrote that just now in my head. You telling me there's somebody in that office who couldn't do the same? That's all you had to write. Those two sentences is what I just did. And that would have been enough publicly. Again, we talk about performance. That's enough, at least as a performance, to show Kenny that, hey, we hear it, man. At least we hear you. And we're using the weight of our brand to say, to reinforce that what you're talking about is serious.
Let's go back to something I said in the first hour where I was asking the question, what could the other leagues do? What could the NFL do that would be meaningful? What can the Major League Baseball and basketball do? Why don't these people make phone calls to their friends who can make phone calls to their friends who can call the district attorney up in Louisville and say, hey, yo, can you let Kenny go? I mean, he was protesting. Tell me what Kenny did. That's it. Let him go. No, no bond, no nothing. Let him go. Why don't they do stuff like that? Like, all this other nonsense means nothing if you're not willing to do those things.
You know why? Because it's not really that important to them. That's not, they will use the justification, hey, I'm just a football owner. That's all I am. And none of us are only. We are people first. That's who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be human beings first. And so this hiding behind your job or your profession or whatever position you hold in society and saying that mutes you from being able to speak in public. No, you are making your choice. And so these owners have made their choice.
David, like, it's welling up in my chest, man. It is just really welling up in my chest because quit playing. Like, quit playing. Stop playing. Racism is not a fad. It's not something that's going to go away like bell bottoms and you pull them out for every 60s party, 70s party. It is not just people complaining. It's not victim mentality. If you've ever experienced it, if you've ever feared for your life because of the color of your skin, where somebody else has the power and the authority on whether you live or die, the least you can do is not make statements and sing songs and play music and paint courts, is use your influence to influence those who make these kind of decisions that can literally help make this stuff go away.
But there's the conversation. If the conversation is centered on behavior, and that's where the conversation gets centered too much on is liking and not liking, and not the structural racism that is what we're really trying to address. So they'll say, well, I can't change people's minds. There's always going to be racism. There's always going to be people who don't like you. But that's not what we're talking about here, because I don't care if my neighbor doesn't like me. I care if the law doesn't protect me. I care that if I go to a bank, I don't get the loan that I'm supposed to get. I care that if the realtors are not showing me the houses that I'm eligible for, or I can't get in this building, or I can't get a job because my name reads a certain way, or I get presumed that I have an attitude because I speak a certain way in the office. All of those things, the quiet, passive racism, the active structural racism, those things, they don't see those as important because they don't see them. It doesn't happen to them. So they view it as anecdotal. And they think that we're just telling a story of an inconvenience rather than something that is truly hampering us as a people. So they think of racism as something like, well, I'm short. That's the way they view it. I'm short and I've overcome stuff. I'm missing a foot. It's not the same. It's not the same. And that's the whole thing, is like, being black should not be a handicap that you have to overcome. And that's the part that they don't want to deal with. They just want to say it's about how I feel about you. That ain't gonna fix it. And if you were doing the recipe of America, the first ingredient is racism. You can't. It's like you got to have water to make some dough. The first ingredient you're gonna have for America is some racism.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to, breathe and woosah and what have you, because I want them to make it as hard on racists to be racist as it is for me to be black. Like, it's hard being black. There's some days where the weight of just being black, like, I don't want to leave out my house on Wednesday at 1:27 and have anybody give me any issues about being black. Just let me be. Make it as hard on racists for being racist as you make it for me being black.
Yeah, there's something. I was listening to this conversation between Bomani Jones and Howard Bryant, and they said it so well, and it was just like, we have capitulated and bowed down to this small group of vocal bigots and acted like their feelings have mattered in this country for so long, and that we've given them equal importance for this appearance of being a civil society. And we just got to shut them up and stop paying attention to them and giving their opinions validity. And that's the whole thing, is we're acting like this is a conversation. It is no conversation. It is no debate. There is only one answer here, and that structural racism is wrong and must be dismantled. I'm not here to have a conversation about it anymore. The conversation you want to have about race is really a conversation about how to get us to be quiet. And that's not, I'm not having that conversation anymore.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I'm getting ready to call out my Christian community, and I'm even going to go deeper. I'm calling out my pastor brothers and sisters. I'm calling out the bishops, because, it's all about the titles, the apostles and, and the prophetic and all that. Listen, don't give me another word from the Lord. Don't give me another word from the Lord, because you got some of these white and some black evangelicals that they all have a word for the Lord for this season. You all got a word for the Lord for racism and corona and all that. If you can't speak up for me, don't give a word to me. If you can't use words for me, don't you dare give me another word about what God is really saying right now about all of this. Tell you what, you and God go talk to the president. You and God go talk to the head of the Senate, or the head of the House, or the Supreme Court, or the district attorney, or the mayor, or the governor, or the lieutenant. Go talk to them with the word that you've gotten from the Lord, because everybody got a word, but nobody can say words when words need to be said.
Because look, again, what's the most segregated place in this country on Sunday?
Church on Sunday.
Thank you. So we know that this is all, again, it's about maintaining a certain thing. And you can sit there and people will sit there and tell you, well, there's a purpose. And for 400 years, you're telling me that we've been on the side of suffering for a reason? Yeah, the reason is y'all perpetuated a system that doesn't. That's the reason. There's no heavenly reason behind that. It's a very human reason. We know it. It's sit there and it's a way, again, to take responsibility off of us and take responsibility off of our actions by saying, well, let's pray that they remove hate from people's hearts. I ain't got time for all that. I ain't got time to be removing hate from people's hearts. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been waiting for that to happen. I'm not giving my thoughts and prayers on this stuff anymore. And these past, like you said, people who want to say that we can solve this on Sunday. Monday through Friday is when it's got to get solved, because that's when Congress is in session. That's when the courthouse is open. That's when Monday through Friday is when I need you to get up and get active, because what you're doing in that pew, hey, it's important, but it ain't changing what needs to get done. Dr. King didn't do all his work from behind a pulpit. Malcolm X didn't do all his work from behind the pulpit. They got their behinds out there. You know, when we talk about Adam Clayton Powell, pastor at Abyssinian Baptist Church, he got his behind out there and passed more legislation than anybody in the history of Congress when he died.
That part.
Active.
That part.
Active.
That part. You have district attorneys sitting in some of these people's churches. You don't even have to make a phone call. Just get out of the pulpit, walk down to the third row. They're sitting right there. They're like right there. Why don't you go ahead and make that give them the word? Like, we need to do more to stop rape. We need legislation. We need somebody just called David. I sure hope it's not one of my evangelical pastor, bishop, apostle, evangelist. Hello, you're live on the lunch break. Who's this?
Man, amen. This Ferdinand, brother AJ, and brother Grubb.
Hey, Ferdinand, how are you?
I'm good, man. Look, guys, racism doesn't go anywhere if we don't continue to fight the fight. One thing I had to learn, guys, is that all of us don't serve the same God. The most people that I know are so hatred are people that don't look like me. I don't know what they're teaching in the white churches, but I do know that First Baptist, Second Baptist, the Potter's House, and the Fountain of Praise are not on the same page. And when it comes to what you're saying, AJ, if someone really wants to be rid of racism, we all come together on one accord. AJ, why do you think the Father allowed his churches to be closed? The church has the most powerful voice here in America, all over the world. But we're not doing what thus said the Lord. Because if we were, there wouldn't be racism. There wouldn't be poverty. You know, that wouldn't be, I need a Bentley when half of my church are starving. God is not into that. If we don't change the system for ourselves, it will never get changed. The only way racism will change, it has to come up from the top. From the president, legislator, and trickle down. They don't want to go away. So if we don't change the narrative in America, guys, it'll never change. That's all I have.
Appreciate you as always, Ferdinand, caller of the year 2017. Very first caller on this show. So, Ferdinand, I appreciate you. Love you much, man. Be safe out there.
I appreciate you guys, too, and just keep mashing the gas, gentlemen. Y'all doing a wonderful job.
You got it. You know that ain't coming off. Yeah, appreciate it. That's good stuff right there. Appreciate Ferdinand as always, because he always comes with the real. But, man, I don't know. I forget how I even got on that. I guess it needed to be said, but I'm serious, man. I'm just... Don't tell me nothing else. What have you done?
But the silence, like you said, the silence from the major so-called names in this country, the pastors of mega churches, silence either financially in this situation, the silence in support emotionally and in using their facilities. Where have you seen it? You know, like even in voting, where are these pastors saying, well, we'll open our church up as a polling place? You know what I'm saying? Where is that, even that kind of involvement right now? You're not seeing that. And that's why I think that there are a lot of people who are not looking. You look into the streets because that's where things are happening.
Yeah.
It used to be the inverse, where the church took it out into the streets. Well, now the streets are saying, we don't need you because we're not waiting for you to get it right. We're not here to hear your prosperity gospel anymore because the prosperity ain't here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You asked us to plant these seeds, and that's what a lot of these people do in the last 20 years. You told us give this money whether we could afford to keep the lights on. You know what I'm saying? You've seen enough of them. We need you to keep even if your bills are due, you better make sure you tithe. We see these churches that came in and said we need to see your tax returns to know exactly how much you need to give us.
Yeah.
Well, now's that time that the church should be standing up for its own people.
Yeah.
Now's the time. So where are those voices? Where are those people who are out there in the streets with those kids and with those young people and being a part of this? Because now's the time to listen. SNCC was kids. Martin Luther King was in his early 20s when he took over. The movement is always going to be led by the young people, and we're not standing with them.
I am, and I'm keeping anybody that's trying to get in their way off of them.
Yeah,
I'm serious, Doc. My block and delete game has been on point. I've had some brothers that I really believed in, and they got out there with that nonsense about this and that. And let me hear you say this phrase: black on black crime. Let me hear you say it one time. You done. I got no time for false narratives. Until you tell me what they're doing about the 85, almost 90% of white on white crime, don't you dare fix your mouth to come to me with black on black crime. I don't want to hear it. It's not a thing. It is not a thing. There ain't no Asian on Asian crime. There ain't no Hispanic on Hispanic crime.
Where do you commit crimes? You commit crimes around the people you live around. And black people are isolated more than any other group where they live.
Exactly.
No matter and you'll see by income level, you'll see black people who make 6 figures living right next to black folk who make low 5 figures and through redlining and things like that. So where else is that crime going to happen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So anyway, I'm sorry. Well, I ain't sorry, but for my sports fans looking for sports, today it's the National Signing Day for the NFL. Today is National Signing Day for the NFL. If guys want long-term deals, they got to get them done today. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, and here's what I hate. Is when you get to this point and it's time to pay somebody. And then you go back over the whole, but is he good enough? And is he worthy of da-da-da? This dude has been carrying y'all since he got into the league. Pay this man. And I ain't talking about franchise tags. I'm not talking about, all that nonsense. Pay the man. Like, pay the man. Why is it so hard to run the man his check, David?
Because Jerry Jones is looking at this, and I think he still does not fully believe in Dak Prescott. And I would say some of this, look, Dallas had four? I want to say 4 black starting quarterbacks over the last few, from Quincy Carter, Randall Cunningham. Did Tony Banks get any? Did Tony Banks play there for a hot minute?
I don't remember.
But it's not been a lot. It's not been a ton. It's not been a ton. And I think Dak still doesn't fit the image of what a Dallas Cowboys quarterback is, even though he's bought in all the stuff. He's done everything that you could ask him to do. I mean, Dak is taking criticism from his own folks for stuff that he said. But for some reason, I've never seen an NFL franchise pay the running back and a wide receiver before the quarterback. Never seen it happen. I've never seen that happen.
They paid everybody before the quarterback. Now they pay the linebacker.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And what did the Chiefs just do? They took care of Mahomes, and then they immediately now go take care of the defensive tackle. They've got the core of their team signed through 2022, and then they have a lot of these guys now signed past that, the young guys. The only one I think that they don't have signed longer is Tyrann Mathieu. So if you're looking at that team and you want to compete, and the Chiefs are clearly going to be the team to play against in the NFL for the next 4 or 5 years, how can you beat the Cowboys and think you're going to find another quarterback who's better than Dak Prescott out on this market? Who's going to be available to you in the next year or so to make you competitive, especially when you look around the NFC and you see Drew Brees is about to get to that point where he's gone. Tom Brady's about to be gone. Matt Ryan's on the downside of his career. Aaron Rodgers is on the downside of his career. Matthew Stafford is in the second half of his career. You look around, there are the only quarterbacks in the NFC in another year or so are going to be Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and that's it, because Jared Goff hasn't turned out into anything. We still don't know what Haskins is. Dwayne Haskins is in Washington. Carson Wentz is up and down. So if you have one of the 3 best quarterbacks in your conference and one of the 5 to 7 best quarterbacks in the NFL, why would you not sign him long term?
So, a couple of things. I'm of the if you don't know me by now, you will never know me. Ooh. Somebody had the nerve to fix their mouth to say today that they believe that if Dak gets off to a slow start, they're going to bring in Andy Dalton, and with all those weapons that they have down there in Dallas, Andy Dalton is going to be the one to take them to the promised land and will expose that Dak is not worthy of a long-term deal. They must be giving out some free medicinal marijuana somewhere that I don't know about, because
That's something stronger than marijuana. That's something stronger.
And dialed the number and waited for it to ring and spoke those words right after hello.
That's something stronger. You know, that's some more, some Ripple, some Muscatel, or something, some Wild Irish Rose. I don't know what. That's strong.
That's that bar.
To make your mind get to that place. We know what Andy Dalton is. How do we know? Woo! I made some mistakes in my younger days, but we know what Andy Dalton is. He had weapons in Cincinnati. Did he not?
People forget that. Yeah.
He had weapons in Cincinnati. He had running backs. He had wide receivers. He had tight ends. He's Andy Dalton.
People forget that.
He's Andy Dalton, and that's bringing him now to Dallas. First of all, you tell me, who is he going to be able to walk in with those guys? Who do you think Zeke Elliott respects more? Who do you think that team respects more than Dak? That's his team. That's his team. You've never heard a single thing about his leadership being a problem from that roster. You not see one guy say, I don't want to play with Dak. So why would they turn to Andy Dalton and feel like those players know too? They're in the locker room. You telling me that Zeke ain't on the phone with Dak and said, this ain't right. Amari Cooper ain't over there saying, why they ain't paid you, bro? The lineman over there saying, man, we got to have you behind center and not Dalton. He knows the team knows who the guy is. So, like you said, if you don't know him by now, y'all gonna lose out. And Dak will, and that's why I don't think Dak wants to sign today, is because he's gonna say, I dare you to keep tagging me, because if Kirk Cousins got the money that he got, me on the open market in another year, oh yeah, I'm getting paid. And think about this. If Dak Prescott goes on the open market in 2 years, who's going to have an opening in New Orleans at a certain position? And you telling me Sean Payton couldn't do something with Dak Prescott?
Come on, all day and every day. Okay, all right. I mean, I hope that Dak is being that strategic. Here's what I hope. I hope Dak don't get in his feelings, because when you get in your feelings, you make bad decisions. Man, y'all better say amen. Every man on this show listening, I don't care if you're in Zimbabwe, when we get in our feelings, we make bad decisions.
Don't think Jerry Jones loves you. Don't think he's he ain't looking out for you.
That's the thing. Remember when Jerry Jones tried to set, was it Tony Pollard? Who's the backup running back for the Cowboys? He tried to put this dude out as if he was going to replace,
Ezekiel
Elliott. Jerry got in front of people with microphones and recorders and said, oh, I think Tony Pollard's got a good shot. We might not need the best running back in the league. Baby, if he could say that about Zeke, he could say that about Dak.
I mean, he drove Bill Parcells out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he drove Bill Parcells out. Jerry Jones is in this for Jerry Jones.
And he ran Jimmy Johnson off.
Right. So it's like Jerry Jones has not learned something. People keep saying, well, as he's getting older, he's learned more. His son is just like him. So there's no belief to me that the Cowboys are going to treat him like family. There's no, and if you ever think that about an owner in a franchise, show me where that has happened to a black player. Show me a black player that a franchise said, we love you, to the point of they took care of him no matter what. Maybe Walter Payton, maybe, but Walter died so young. You can't really say that the Bears had the opportunity to take care of Walter.
Yeah. Okay. I was literally gonna have to jump sports and go to the Lakers and Kobe.
Because I mean, look, the Jets and their relationship with Joe Namath, has it ever been questioned at all?
No.
You know what I'm saying? John Elway with the Broncos.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With certain guys with the Raiders. But look, where's a black player? Show me at one franchise where the black player is elevated to that same type of level. Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith were both better than Troy Aikman. And they dragged Troy Aikman behind. You always got to
make it about race. You're always making it about race.
I'm just asking the question why. If you can answer the question, if somebody can tell me why that just doesn't happen. Why is it that? I mean, like, I sit here and I go to LSU games and I look at the stadium. And the only numbers that are up there that are retired are white guys' numbers. So you tell me again, how many teams you got? Go to UT, and then you go to. Now they just changed the field name, but
David, wait. I'll be right back.
All right.
Littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure.
Where the lies though? Am I lying?
You ain't started lying yet.
We offer burial insurance plans.
Really keep it 100.
Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind.
Had to be, yeah.
There are no medical exams.
Yeah.
Your rates won't increase.
He had to be general manager.
Cannot be canceled as long as you make your
payment.
Yeah. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is
so we got Ozzie Newsome.
Potter's grave in a potter's field.
800. Where's another player got elevated that way? Another black player got elevated to that position.
308-6729.
I mean, they gave Doug Williams that job in Washington, but I don't know what that really means.
308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want.
His team don't exist no more.
800-780-1431.
team don't exist no more.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431.
Pat Mahomes the biggest name in Chiefs history.
780-1431.
That's what I'm saying. Mahomes is playing right now. When is he gonna get past Lynn Dawson? Is he gonna get past? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, that's Saturdays at 1 p.m. Marriage Talk.
It's not hard to argue that the defense of the Chiefs,
questions, engagement,
led by a bunch of HBCU players, was far more integral to the success of that team than Lynn Dawson was. But they don't get the same kind of props in that around there. So we'll see what Mahomes is. If he gets too black too, let Mahomes get too black.
It's life changing.
It's called to inspire.
Let him dump that white girl. Let him dump that white girl and bring his sister around. Let that happen like Russell Wilson did and brought Sierra up in there to Seattle.
The legendary KYOK 11:40 a.m.
You know what I'm
3 FM.
Did Russell Wilson not get different? Because remember, we thought of Russell Wilson a certain way. And today, Russell Wilson, we like, all right, Russ. Do your thing, bro.
Hey, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, and man, y'all, David Grubb is lighting us up. I mean it. David Grubb, when I say your show is aptly named, Hard in the Paint is exactly who you are and what you do. So we were talking before the break about black players that have been, how did you term it? How did you phrase it?
Elevated to that point where they are the face that you associate with the franchise. And not just currently, because that was the thing that we were talking about during the break. I'm not talking about like the current face of the franchise. I'm talking about when they put up, this is the franchise.
Yeah.
Who's that? How many black players are that guy? And there's not many.
Let's throw some names out. So Willie Gibson said Ozzie Newsome.
Would you say he's the greatest player in Ravens history? For the Ravens, that would go to probably. Well, it'd be a black player, it'd be Ray Lewis probably, or Ed Reed. I think Ed Reed was better than Ray Lewis, but we'll say one of those two. And for the Browns, you'd say Jim Brown. Okay?
But let's stop for a second though. We are talking about Baltimore now. We ain't talking about New England. We're talking about Baltimore.
At least Ozzie Newsome has got the opportunity to move beyond player, and that's the thing too.
Right.
It's not just being the player. It's like, what does the organization do and think of you afterwards?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to say, well, you were the best player, and the likelihood is that a black player probably was the best player for a lot of these teams by now.
Okay.
But that standing afterwards. Because, I mean, look, we're still in New Orleans. One of the big arguments we have is the Dome Patrol has no recognition anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got a statue for Steve Gleason,
Yep.
You got a statue for Dave Dixon, and I guarantee you the day Drew Brees retires, they're going to start putting the mold together for his statue.
Right.
But Dome Patrol, who made the franchise, took it from nothing to something.
Yeah.
There's not a single thing in the Superdome or outside of it to honor them. And I've talked to Ricky Jackson on
I was going to say, Ricky Jackson's name is not up in some kind of Ring of Honor.
He's in the Ring of Honor, but Ricky was the first Hall of Famer on that team.
Yeah.
Ricky still holds a bunch of records.
Yeah.
And Ricky don't have a statue?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Saint as far as I'm concerned. Drafted, played almost his whole career, played one season with the 49ers, won a Super Bowl. But Ricky is Mr. Saint as far as I'm concerned. And I've talked to Ricky, and he says it's a sore subject for him and Pat Swilling. The other two are now dead. Sam Mills and Vaughn Johnson have passed away. So that tells you how much time has gone on. And they've never been honored. They haven't even put all four of them should be in the Ring of Honor at the very least, and only Ricky's up there. So Ricky has said for a long time that the Saints as an organization have had a problem with its ex-black players, and I think that's common around the NFL because where are the black players getting moved into coaching positions or front office positions? It ain't happening. Where are the other black John Elways? Where are the other black, these guys getting promoted and having these positions that you just don't see? Where's the black Jim Paxson in basketball? You're not seeing those opportunities to go from playing to being a decision maker and held in that esteem simply because of your career. Because John Elway didn't do nothing as a player to make you think he was going to be a great general manager. What did he do to do that? But he's John Elway, so he got that job.
Right. Exactly. Real quick, I got a shout out to my new Randall McHenry. We know him affectionately as Squeeze. He says he's got to send me a Xavier shirt. I told most definitely. I will rock that Xavier University. I spent more time there than I did at Tulane. I wish we had all this video class work and all that. I would have had a dorm room at Xavier taking classes over at Tulane. I would have. I sure would have.
I bet you the barn was rocking when you was down there.
Only thing I did wrong is I pledged that at my chapter instead of going Beta Iota. That's the only thing I did wrong. How many
members did you have at Tulane?
We didn't have a chapter.
Did y'all have a line or a dot?
There were no black Greek organizations at Tulane University when I was there. Period. Point blank. We had the Drifters under the boardwalk down by. Yeah, that was our homecoming act. Anyway, so is Dak gonna get some money? Does Dak want some money? Is Dak in his feelings, or is Dak trying to be strategic with this thing?
I hope he's trying to be strategic, like you say.
Okay.
Because the opportunities are there for him to make so much money.
Okay.
So much money. And I'm only as loyal to people as they are to me. And Dallas has not shown that they're willing to be loyal to him. They should have taken care. If Dallas had taken care of this 2 years ago, they could have just extended him 2 years ago. He would have been much cheaper, and he would have done it. He would have done it. He would have taken the security, but now he knows his value. He knows that he's worth more. And he just watched Mahomes' deal, and he's going to sit there and he's looking at that, and he's going to look at what Deshaun is going to get, and he's going to look and see what I guarantee you the Ravens are going to start looking at Lamar's deal because they don't want to end up having to overpay for him. So if you're Dak, why are you going to capitulate? Why are you going to give the Cowboys what they want? Go out there and get yours, Dak Prescott. Take your money and do what Kirk Cousins did. Hedge your bet and make the Cowboys either pony up or get out of Dodge because somebody's going to give you the money you want.
That you said the right name. Kirk Cousins, if he can work the system, Dak can work the system. I want him to work the system. So.
Kirk Cousins still has only one win against a winning team in his career. One.
You like that? David, we got to get ready to go, man. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you on your... Look who just popped up. Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Kelsey, we tried to hold it down without you, girl. You got to promise us you're coming back next week. 3 the hard way. Did it with 2 wheels today. We did it with 2 wheels. David, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, man.
Yeah, at DM Grubb, and the podcast is live now on Apple, Spotify, should be up on Stitcher today and Google Play as well. And yesterday, go check out yesterday's episode. Kelsey was with me And it was just a fantastic conversation. We got great feedback from that already. Today again with Ross Jackson from Canal Street Chronicles, and we churn them out every day. And also go to the website hitpwithdg.com. Go to the shop, please go to the shop. There's really cool stuff there.
Yeah, man. So my frat's gonna send me that Xavier shirt. I'm gonna get me some hard to paint gear. So we just rock it like that. Let me give credit where credit is due. Donna Coleman Holman has really been my stylist. She sent me this. She also sent me a lot of the shirts that I have that a lot of folks have been asking me about. And Donna, we appreciate you. Keith Hennick has also been picking me up, so I appreciate it. Go ahead.
I got the red cap for you. I got to see it. Do you want the one with the pelican on it, or do you want the one with the hardened paint on the top?
I got to go hard in the paint.
All right, what's your size? What's in the flex? You a medium or large? What's your size?
You see this big old head, bro. I'm a large, man.
All right, I'll get it to you in the mail, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. That's what we do here on the lunch break. We support each other. We love each other. We rep each other. So, David, keep doing it, brother. Do it hard. And I told him the other day, I said, and he owns this stuff. So you run it from the owner spot, bro. Okay?
That's right.
All right, man. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you later, David Grubb. Listen,
yes,
I got to get ready to get out of here. Donnie McClurkin is up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. But before we go, we got to get Sybil Wilkes in with her coronavirus update. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly do love you, and there is nothing you can do about it except wear your mask, wash your hands for 20 seconds or longer, sanitize everything around you, and be sensitive to everybody around you. Give them their 6 feet, and last and certainly not least, when you see that racism, kill it. Not the person, the racism. All right, y'all. Y'all take care. Y'all be safe. We'll talk to you next time.
With what you need to know today about the coronavirus. School districts across the country are being forced to reconsider their reopening plans as coronavirus infection rates continue to spike and new hotspots emerge. California's 2 largest school districts.
All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed today's show. Really had a lot of fun with my brother David Grubb. Did a great job. Kelsey, we missed you like crazy. Again, want to thank all the ladies from the Texas Phoenix Fire for tuning in again. I mean, they weren't even on the show today, but they came back. And y'all know lunch breakers. Mwah. I love y'all for real, and I love y'all for free. So thank you for helping make the show be what it is, man. Our numbers have been off the chart lately. Y'all been sharing the show. Y'all been commenting, and a lot of things have been happening. So thank you for that. And again, Donna, Keith, all of y'all that have sent me gear and merchandise and dice and stuff like that to wear, I appreciate you. I might not send a thank you card, but there's nothing but thank you flowing out of my heart. So I appreciate y'all. As always, I mean it, y'all. Let's not be divided. Let's be united. We can do this thing together. And I do. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. But y'all, speak up. Don't be quiet. Don't blend in. Speak up. When you see something wrong or unjust, speak up. All right. And I believe we're going to get this thing done. I believe it. We're going to get this thing done. So y'all take care. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. Sports fellas, you know how crazy that's going to be. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. So y'all take care. All right.